Welcome to the show, Coach Omari Williams. I am so excited to have you here. You are an author, personal trainer, entrepreneur, business owner. You used to have a gym, right?
Yes.
And are you a musician also?
Well, no, I like to look at myself as an executive producer, if you will, like somebody who's trying to bring the best from different parts and create and put together. I'm a creator in that nature. But I do like to produce music on my phone for fun. Like people play games on their phones. There's an app on Apple that allows you to make music, and I tend to do that for solitude sometimes.
Really? Is that GarageBand?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I might try fooling around with that.
You should. You'd be amazed what you might know pull out yourself,
Exactly, because I do love music. So that might be something I may venture into. But so thank you for sharing that with us. You're also a father. You told me about these three beautiful ladies behind you. Your oldest is 23, your middle girl is 19, and your baby is 16.
Yes.
Two oldest are in college. One is getting ready to graduate. I love it. Hashtag girl dad.
Yes.
Love it.
Big blessings. They say that daughters take care of their dads and sons take care of their moms. So I get that 3 times, I'm hoping
then. Yes, you are abundantly blessed because yes, daughters do take care of their dads, especially when dads have taken care of them.
Amen.
in their younger years.
Right.
That's really important. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually something that I want to touch on in our interview. So without further ado, let me just start by saying this. Coach Omari and I family connected after he reached out to me on Instagram and to be on the Healing for the Culture radio show, which is now a podcast. And after hearing his story, I thought, this is someone who the world needs to hear from. Because what I was moved by was your transparency. And I don't think that we have enough of transparency in the world right now, especially when it comes to going through storms and going through growing pains and lessons and really what I like to call what it ultimately boils down to is trauma. And so you shared your story with me about your current divorce. And me being a divorcee, it was going through a divorce is a traumatic experience. You lose a life that you once had. So you go through a whole complete grieving process. And so as I said, this brother's story really touched me, and what touched me even more, because everyone has a story, but I think when people share their story with so much authenticity and transparency and compassion for their own journey, it really hits differently. So I had to make sure that I got you on the show to have a conversation with you so that the world can hear your story and hear these jewels that you're going to provide in terms of how you got through this and how I know your story will inspire someone else. So welcome to the podcast. And without further ado, please tell everybody who you are in your own words and what you do.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Omari Williams, and originally born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, San Francisco, that is. I've been in the fitness industry for over 2 decades and have a big joy for art and creativity. I also like to debate politics as well. Just fun nature, and it's just the same energy with sports. It's pretty much the same. I love spending time with my dog. Now that I'm recently divorced, it's a new life that I'm creating versus when you're being amongst family and all of a sudden being around by yourself. It's definitely different. But it's been an amazing. It's been a blessing. But basically, what I wanted to kind of start off with, kind of say to your listeners, is I originally contacted you because I was looking forward to try to find out about some advertising on your show, and because I want to enlighten your readers on some creativity with my book. It's being a sci-fi book. It's not nonfiction. It's not a lot of books out right now are kind of geared towards self-help and things of that nature to kind of help us uplift one another, so on and so on. But I thought there was also some time for entertainment, and so this book it's really interesting. It has a audio book that's read by Carla Green, formerly known as CMG. She was a former hip hop MC for this group out here in the Bay Area called Conscious Daughters. And I love her voice. And so she did the audio book for me on this joint. And then we have a soundtrack, because the reason of this book, I don't want to give too much, but as your listeners heard, they heard some music. That's an original score, by the way. But the purpose of this, let me just say this. There's two characters in the story that make music. And so the goal is to give the reader an idea of what that music is. So this is what you're getting. But during the time of back and forth of emailing you, trying to find out the cost and things of that nature to advertise, as I noticed throughout Instagram, for example, I always see a lot of memes that are geared towards women who are going through hurt or some form of trauma or just something in that form, where they're giving them tools to try to better the situation. And it's great. I got 3 daughters, so I'm a big believer in, what I'm saying? But, us men have, feelings too. And then when it comes to like the concept of Black men don't talk, we have a mental health issue in our community because we don't talk. And so it was interesting when I seen all those memes and I emailed you back. I said, hey, by the way, I always see these memes. How come there's no memes for men that are going through such and such, such and such? And you were like, you know what? This is what I want to talk about. And I was like, wonderful. So, throughout my journey, I kind of feel like, honestly, because of what I do as a living in terms of fitness, it's another one of the 5 components I feel like you should improve yourself. So we call that spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. Right. So I can help people with the fitness part. Right, the physical part. But with that, I feel like now my experience that I've dealt with, I feel like it's part of my journey now to kind of like help others figure out how to get through based on how I got through it. Mm-hmm. I'm not on this show to talk about what I did wrong, or what my ex did wrong. That's not how we're going to heal. Mm-hmm. We're going to heal by saying what was done is accepted. We accept that, and then we forgive, and then how do we learn from it, and then where do you take those things and move forward into your next new blessing? Because we're all going to have an opportunity to get new leases on love, if you will.
Love that.
Right. But
leases on life, but leases on love. I love that. I'm gonna have to write that one down. We got to hashtag that one.
Yeah. So, but I just feel like it's just my journey now is to just share with folks, but really my brothers who, right now, our chest sticks out too far, and we can't, we feel like we can't let our vulnerability show, or we can't express what's going on. And you can't heal like that. Brothers are going through so much trauma just being Black. But I don't want to get into that part. But just their upbringings or whatever it has to deal with that's molded them to who they are today. We're always going to have those challenges, but we also need to learn how to communicate to amongst another, and that's real big. So I feel like I'm hoping that God is going to use me as a vessel to share with folks who are going through what I'm going through. Because I haven't experienced a lot of other situations, but I'm going to say I experienced divorce of
Yeah.
over 22 and a half, 23 years. So I can share that with folks, how to get through that. So that's where I feel like I'm at today.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
And we're definitely we are gonna delve into that for sure. In terms of, like, all of the lessons and how you got through that and how you're getting through it. Want to circle back on the book.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to I was listening to the chapters, the first two chapters you sent, the audio, and it was really, really good. And it's so different. A street racer who listens to Frank Sinatra for inspiration. That's what he listens to when he's racing. Like, that's like made for TV entertainment. It's like so good. So what was
Right.
what was the inspiration behind the book? And did you write that before or during your divorce?
So let me backtrack a little bit. So my mother is a retired English teacher.
Okay.
And when I was in the 6th or 7th grade, she taught me how to brainstorm, like creative write, put on some tranquility music. And she's like, all right, this is what you do. And I just kind of learned how to write creatively. I don't know. That's how I maybe got into my gifted English classes. I don't know, but maybe it worked. I don't know. But
Yeah.
she taught me how to write. She also wrote a book herself. She also taught me how to, there's times when if you can't express yourself in a certain way, sometimes it's good to write it down. So what happened was, a little bit to the left here, I had sued a previous company that I used to work for. I sued them for a hostile work environment, right? And so what happened was, when they would come to my place of business, I don't want to kind of put it out there too much, but when they come to the place of business, my regional vice president and my district manager would come and chastise my work and stuff like that. I wouldn't use their systems for our production, but I'd be at 120, 130% of goals. So I'd get to how we're going to get to my way. I just didn't do it the corporate way, which is probably another reason why I'm working for myself today, but another story. So instead of me acting NIGGA like, when these things happen, when they would try to be belligerent and whatever, I just, accepted it. But I would go in my office when they leave and I start writing this story. The story had nothing to do with them. It just let me just release and I just got creative. I could just remove myself from the anger that I had, and I started writing this story.
It was therapeutic for you.
It was therapeutic for me. I wrote this story in 2007.
Ah.
I just published the story last year of 2019, November.
Wow. Okay.
So
I think that's a tremendous jewel right there. Because I'll say one thing that I like to share with people, one thing that you can do to get you through things as a part of the healing process, one of those modalities or activities or however you want to label it, is writing. And when I share with people, what the healing process looks like, for a lot of people, we don't know what it looks like because it's so abstract. But I like to share with people when it comes up, that is one tool, that is one strategy, that is one intervention and modality, writing. Writing is an outlet. And sometimes I think if you're not used to it, if you're unfamiliar, you don't connect the dots with writing equals healing. But and it's not for everybody, it's just for some people. For you in particular, just your own journey, your own experience, it was a way to escape. It was a way to bring your mind to some sort of solace. And I think that, and it was healthy. It wasn't detrimental. It wasn't like, we have these coping strategies and healing things that we do to cope and to numb out, that we think, it takes our mind off of it temporarily, but it's damaging something else. And so your writing wasn't damaging anything else. So it was definitely a healthy healing mechanism for you. I just wanted to insert that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. And the name, the Funk Sinatra Project. So I feel like they always take stuff from us. Okay, I'm just going to put the question. I'll put the quotation marks on they, them people. Our culture, they, in terms of like, they will accept our culture, but won't accept our color, for example. Okay. Um, but I know Frank Sinatra is like a, a, a favorite.
Yeah,
I don't say, you know what I mean? And it's
I
like,
like
I
Frank.
feel, yeah, he's amazing,
Yeah.
and their whole crew was interesting. But nonetheless, I felt like it was a good opportunity to take something and see how they respond. And so I wanted to use that. And so I felt like also it was a double-eyed look catcher, you know what I mean? The Funk Sinatra project. And it just made them just, even if it made a person say it twice, I feel like that was pretty good, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then when you read the story, you understand the purpose of the project part.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty much how the foundation laid out. And then what happened was I ended up writing half the story, or in volume, meaning I had wrote about maybe 11, 12,000 words, and then found this was what's really interesting. I found an editor down in Los Angeles to help me edit the story, and he actually did that and finished co-writing the story. So he basically doubled the word count. Now, this man helped me with a lot of the Frank Sinatra nuances of the story, along with some other stuff. And we tried to publish it for about 7 years, and a lot of publishing companies were like, oh, this is a really good story, but it's just a little way out there to the left. And so we didn't mind. And so we put it up on the shelf for a little while. During the time when Trump became office, something enticed me to kind of get this back up and going. I have no clue why, but something did. Me and the editor, his name is Patrick, great guy. We get to talking, come to find out he's Republican. And I didn't know this. And I knew he was 20 plus years older than me. He'd been in Vietnam twice, the whole 9 minutes. And we established a really dope relationship for like 8 or 9 years. Now, it didn't change once we found out one believes another, but we understood, it was like, wow, this is crazy how we didn't even look at each other way. And we just, moved on and just was blessed with this opportunity, you know what I mean? And so, long story short, I ended up finding people from my past who are in the entertainment industry, whether they're musicians or things of that nature, to help me foresee the rest of this project. And that's how I came up with the audio book and the soundtrack for this thing, and try to give the reader a lot of value and material to look at, whether they were a reader or a listener. They still should enjoy the music no matter what. You know what I mean? So that's the goal, the concept. And then hopefully some big time person like Tyler Perry down there will take a look at it.
Well, let me tell you, I definitely, it's made for TV for sure.
Right on. Appreciate
Made
that.
for TV, absolutely. And I just want to touch on what you mentioned earlier about the editor and the co-writer of your book being a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that just really speaks, and you had no clue. And I think that just speaks volumes, because at the end of the day, we are different. That's not going to change.
No.
Everybody, we didn't come here to be all the same.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This damn earth would not rotate on the axis if everybody was the same, if everybody thought the same, if we all did the same thing, we all had the same ambitions and drives and belief systems. It wouldn't work. But we can appreciate each other's differences and still respect each other and still collaborate and still have an appreciation for one another.
Right.
And I think that's such a beautiful example. So thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So going back to your point earlier about Black men not getting the sort of, I guess, support that most women that we get, especially when it comes to healing from trauma. So what do I mean by that? We have all of the support groups and all of the sister healing circles. We got all of that stuff, women. And it became very apparent to me, because I have men in my DMs a lot who are expressing to me that they're going through things. you know, and that they appreciate when I'm coming on and encouraging and inspiring, and not in a trying to flirt with me kind of way. Don't get me wrong, I get that too, but it's a very just matter of fact, you know, this we don't have anything, so I appreciate you. And I think that, I don't know, my energy resonates with men. I think I have you know, I am an alpha female, so you know, I think that energy kind of resonates with men. But so I want to talk about I want to use my platform to encourage healing from trauma. And I really want this to be a support system. I want people to come here. I want people to listen to this and know that you're not the only person who is going through what you're going through. And you can hear something from Omari that will inspire you, that will encourage you. You may be even able to connect with him at some point, and you all can share this journey, because what I've learned, what I know about healing from trauma, is one of the things that really pushes the healing process forward is support. And having a support group and having people to talk to, having people to connect with who have gone through the same things that you've gone through, or who are going through the same things that you are going through. So having said that, I do want to start to peel back the layers of the divorce that you have. Is it finalized, or are you still in the middle of it? It's
finalized. Yeah, October.
Okay. Well, for me personally, when my divorce was finalized, I wanted people to tell me congratulations. And, you know, I didn't want to hear, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And everybody's journey is different. You have 3 beautiful daughters. And your life has been completely disrupted. I don't have children. So, you know, for me, it's a different kind of energy coming out of that. So, right. You know, so I'm glad that you are in the end of that process, and that phase of your life is finalized. That chapter is closed, and you're able to begin a new chapter in your life, because new beginnings are abundance. Everything that we experience, even the divorces, even the storms, it's all abundance. It expands us. And so my question to you is, what was the most painful part of the divorce that you in your experience?
Okay. Let me write that down, because I wanted to bring some up before you lose track. So real fast, you mentioned about how women have so many different types of support groups for stuff like this. I mean, because men have support groups for, like, you know, maybe Domino's group or something, or you know what I'm saying? Or we may have a financial group, you know what I mean, right, where we're, you know, investment groups and things. But when it comes to stuff like this, no. And which is kind of interesting, because it's still on health component, mental health, physical health. Now, watch how I'm bringing this full circle. I've been in the industry for 20 years, so I can say I've seen the statistics, and what I mean by that is women will do whatever it takes in a financial setting to get to their fitness goal. Men will take the most cheapest route ever to get to their fitness goal. They'll read what we call in the fitness industry muscle and fiction, not muscle and fitness magazines. Okay. But women will, at pretty much any age group on up, they want to learn. They're willing to accept something different than what they're accustomed to, you know, how they've been taught. Us guys, we think that we know darn thing. So it's kind of like the same thing here too, when you look at it like, we're going to take on this hurt by ourselves. Women will reach to their girlfriends real fast. I need help. I'll reach my personal trainer real fast. I need help. You know, women, y'all more quick to say, hey, I need help. And this is something else. I don't know I'm going here now, but men, as I learned, when the woman is saying something, we don't listen. But when the woman does something, we listen.
Pay attention. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Let's get to my pain.
Right.
So I thought this woman would be the person that I would, grow old with. The pain that I have is I wish the things that I've learned I've done to satisfy whatever she needed to still feel like she loved me or in love with me. Let me rephrase that statement because there's a difference. And I feel more upset now, unfortunately, because it's been a year and a half really been split or, whatever. And so I moved on. The intellectual stimulation that I've been having with my new friend, I wish I could have gotten that. I wish I would have taken the time and done that with her, with my ex. So I feel painful about that I didn't get a chance to finish being a friend, a supportive friend to her the way that I feel like I'm supporting somebody else. Wow. I wish I could have done that. The other part of the pain is the idea and the concept of family, not having it. When you've had it, blessedly, I'm still able to be seeing both of my parents still alive and still together.
Wow. That's
in their late or early 80s. So I visualized that, I'd be in that same track by accumulating so many years with one person or a marriage or what have you.
Sure.
So I've always been around family, and then all of a sudden I get married, and then I'm married, and then I'm around family, and then to have it going basically fast to not having family, that has been painful as well. I'm blessed that me and her, or her and I, still we have a cordial relationship now. It took some time. Sure. And actually, I wanted to do before the year started. I told her, I said, look, we're gonna put all our issues to the side. We want to make sure for this, particularly the youngest one, she's the one who's still with us 50-50 at the time. She's down in LA. Like I said, she's done with school and she's down in Berkeley. Well, I wanted to make sure that we can relieve as much pressure off of her as possible. So I was telling my ex, I said, hey, this is before Christmas. I said, let's, and this is during her finals, the youngest one. So let's relieve as much pressure as we can by at least saying hi when we're dropping the kid off to each other. So we weren't even doing that. So some of you brothers and sisters, I understand what you're going through when you're pulling up to the car and the kid get out the car and nobody ain't saying nothing. Okay, I know what you're feeling. It's going to change. It's just temporary.
That's a nugget. That is a jewel that you just dropped. Put emotional intelligence, put your shit to the side for the sake of this child. So this child, this young person does not suffer. That is a jewel. Say hello. It don't cost a penny to be nice to people. You do it to strangers. Hey, how you doing? Smile. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? Oh, thank you. Don't cost a penny to be nice. Do it. That was a jewel. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. That's okay. But so I would just say, just losing the unity concept of having Saturday mornings be rough. When you're used to hearing the vacuum cleaner going on and you're smelling breakfast going on and, just whatever, but versus where you hear nothing but echo and the birds outside. It's a big change, but the beauty of it all, the blessing of it all is that I can say that, because I have my time, which I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about this in a minute. but I've had my emotional depressed moments. You know what I'm saying? I just very glad, and I can just thank God that they've been microwavable, if you will. It's been fast. You know.
But you still had to have experienced those moments. Like there was just no getting around that. When you lose a life that you once had, you know, there's gonna be the depression and the sadness. And how did you deal with that?
So to kind of back it up a little, Taste, August 19 is when I found a buyer for my gym. Months prior to that, I had told my ex, I said, look, I'm ready to sell the gym. I've been doing just that gym alone for 10 years, and I was ready to move on and do some other things. But more importantly, I hadn't been at home at 5:30, 6 p.m. to have dinner on Monday through Friday, because that's the gym time. Gym is peak time, is 5 to 8 p.m.
Right.
So I come home, wife and kids are already at home. So we're already on two different frequencies. Okay. And it took me some time to understand that, but it was too late, unfortunately. But I had told her for several months up until August that I wanted to sell the gym and I'm looking for a buyer. And I found a buyer in August. We had an argument in September. She moved out of the room in October. And then throughout the time of this time happening from August, when I found a buyer, to January 31st, that's how long it took to get the paperwork together to sell the gym. She moved out January 25th and I sold the gym February 1st. So that week right there,
wow, I
feel like if I didn't have God, if I didn't have just a little bit of God, at least, I can say I got all that. I'm not a Bible thumper, you know. I know.
Don't worry about it.
But lose a train of thought here. But
you said
I just feel like that week. I really feel that most would have given up, because at least giving up to the bottle, if not I'm not saying the Bible, you know what I'm saying, or get them to some other drug or some other outlet that is going to create a negative consequence or a negative result.
Yeah.
And so I will say, for 2 months, I would still go. I went to join the gym and I'd go work out in the mornings and come home and eat this super healthy breakfast. And I would figure out what's going on in my life for about an hour. And then I go in my backyard and smoke a $20 cigar and a bottle of wine. I did that every day for like 7 weeks. And then it just hit me and said, wait a minute, what happened to my six pack? Right.
Right.
But really, I was like, you know what, this is not me. This is not how I'm going to heal. But during that time, that was like denial.
Sure.
Depression, you know, disbelief. What just happened? You know, it was a really rough time. And then it was a blessing that a couple more months went by. No, then the COVID happened. Oh, Jesus. So we're on the, you know, we're getting on the news, you know, it's a great time to be with your families and this and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, well, I was used to having one, but, you know, this is all new to me, right?
Right.
It's just me and my dog, right? Because, of course, she didn't take the dog. And so, but she wasn't. So I went through a couple months of just trying to figure out what's going on, you know, and many nights of loneliness, you know, a lot of crying, not understanding what just happened, you know. It just, like I said, just, you know, you go through having a family, and all of a sudden it's just gone, and you have also these business endeavors and everything. It's just, you know, everything's out the door, no certainty whatsoever. We don't even know what's going on with the COVID at that time.
Right. Wow.
All I could do was just turn and just focus on my relationship with God. I had nothing else that I could do. And so then right around mid-May, I had a chance to get back to my parents' house in San Francisco. I live in the East Bay. And for 2 weeks, it was nostalgic for me because my brother, he now lives with my parents. He takes care of them. But in the mornings, he works out every morning. And I had not worked out for like 6 or 7 weeks. So it was great to go get up in the morning and work out with him, because it was him is the reason why I started exercising. And my brother is 14 and a half years older than me. So
wow.
In order to hang around him when I was 5 or 6 years old You know, this is when they're like 21. We're talking about probably like, you know, 78, 1980. We got George Clinton, Bootsy playing, and they got a whole bunch of marijuana smoke, and they're doing push-ups to songs. That's what they did. So I'm watching this. So I've been around this all my life. So to get that opportunity to work out with him again for those 2 weeks when I went back home for a little bit, I worked out with him, and then I went to Ocean Beach in San Francisco every day, and it was like a way for me to decompress. I just like I just really got back into myself, started saying to myself, you know, there's nothing wrong with me,
Yeah,
because you go through those things, you start to say, you know, no matter no matter how much greatness you have going on, you can still self-doubt.
absolutely.
And
That's
so
a
I
jewel.
found ways to, you know, to get back in myself and say, man, you know, get back into Omari, you know. And so I started to look at this, to say, okay, it's her loss.
Mm,
And not so much saying, you know, like, you know, I lost everything. I feel like now I have to revalue myself and say, if she wants to move on, that's fine. And that's her loss. She can do what feels best for her, pray
mhm.
for her. I can be valuable to somebody else. I know my worth now. So it took me a couple to kind of get through that and remember that, and not give up, because it's easy to give up and give in, you know. But I say, so that has been my transition. I think every single day since June. I'm always one to get down on my knees and pray in the mornings. But since June, I've added reading one or two scriptures. And then from my brother's wife, she sends me the daily devotional every day.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm getting a lot of food every day, but I want to also start doing something towards the evening. That's one of the reasons why I kind of respect the Islamic tradition, because they, you know, practice, you know,
Right,
prayer several times a day, and it helps them to stay focused every day, all day,
right.
right? But yeah, so I think, you know, that's pretty much where it's been for me, is I've been able to reconnect spiritually first, and it's still like I would look back and try to write down the cons and pros in my head and think about um, the greatness that I had in my marriage, all the great things that were good, and see how much they overweighed the cons or the bad. And there was a lot of greatness. There was way more greatness than there was cons or was bad.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful for that. You know what I mean? I'm thankful she's not 13, 9, and 6. She's 16, 19, 23. You know what I mean? So they're even at the point where, you know, I'm even at a point where my ex is even at a point where she can still remerge and have a new opportunity, a new lease on life as well, besides love. And so is myself. I'll be 50 in a couple of years, not now, but and so I you know, I think it's just like, you know, God is saying, I would tell people like this. I feel like my marriage was like walking into a treasure chest room where it's just a whole bunch of treasure chests inside of a room. And you get to go and pick a treasure chest and bring it home with you, but you can't peek into it and figure out which one you want, right? See what prize in there. So it's called the treasure chest of marriages, or marriages of treasure chests, how do you want to say it? I bring my treasure chest home, I open it, what do I see? 3 beautiful daughters. And that's how I look at my marriage. It was a wonderful, amazing experience. She felt a certain way, I felt a certain way. You know, we're human, and that's how I look at it. You know, there's times, yes, I would love to try to figure out, because that's the part of that 20 years would be different probably if I was 5 years. But I feel like, you know, I still wish maybe, you know, sometimes I would probably want to try to work things out sometimes, because again, it's the whole concept of family, and what I've been accustomed to. Um, I kind of don't want to start all over in that sense for that part.
Right.
But I know it's a blessing that I can, you know,
Mhm.
and so that's why, you know, I'm accepting everything, and that's the other thing I recommend is just learn to accept, and know that I had to know that nothing was wrong with me. I had to learn to accept the divorce and learn nothing is wrong with me.
And it's interesting you say that, the acceptance. I mean, you touched on so much, like all the questions I had, you pretty much answered them,
All right.
in terms of like, and I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget. But that acceptance piece, I feel like I believe that comes with understanding your worth. And you touched on that earlier, about just doing that self-reflection and getting back to you, putting the focus on you and not the broken marriage and not the marriage that's been dissolved, and not, oh, she doesn't want to be with me, or oh, he doesn't want to be with me, whatever your situation is. Putting the focus back on you and learning you and understanding what you brought to the table, and also doing a self-reflection that includes, okay, what were my shortcomings in this situation? Okay. And then having compassion for yourself to say, you know what, I did drop the ball in this area. I did not, I could have done some things differently in this area. Whatever your situation is, that may not be the case here, but I know for a lot of people that is the case, because it takes two to tango. If a divorce.
Let me interject real fast. So no, I will, I made mistakes, right? And nobody, only one person's recorded, as they say, that I hope I don't mean to cuss, but only one person only pisses silk and shits gold on this earth. Okay?
That's right.
So, I definitely take my mistakes and what I learned and what I've done, and like making sure next time, the next opportunity to get a chance to love again, I know how to value that person much more. Mm-hmm. And I know my mistakes, and then definitely I know what to do. And that's one thing, brothers and sisters, sometimes it's always this, we keep forgetting that there's more fingers pointing back at us. We know that concept, right?
But even in that instance, even when you know that you had some shortcomings and you know that you could have done some things differently, still, even with that, even knowing that, still having compassion for yourself to say, I made a mistake. I didn't do things the right way. I didn't do things the way I should have done or the way I wanted to do them. And just having compassion for that your journey and your choices and what you did, and now learning from them. Like you said, now you know how to appreciate the person you're with. Now you know how to show them that they're valuable. Those are the lessons. I don't think that a person can grasp those lessons unless they actually have compassion for their journeys. It just doesn't happen. It just does not happen. And I really like that you talked about the fact that you went back home for a couple of weeks and you were around your family and you were around your brother. That goes back to what I said at the top of the show, and how one of the easiest ways to speed up the healing process is by being around support systems, being around other people who will pour into you, who will hold you up, who will hold space for you when you can't hold space for yourself. What I mean by that, when people who are encouraging you, giving you words of encouragement, giving you scriptures, and encouraging you to get up and go and exercise when you don't feel like it yourself. So that's that support system that I was talking about that really is very instrumental in speeding up the healing process from trauma. And also you touched on how the Muslim community, they pray several times a day. And I think that there is something about discipline. That really helps us get through anything, whether it's trauma, whether it's building a business, whether it's parenting, whatever it is. You're only as good as your level of discipline.
Right.
I think that I think that there's a connection there. So, wow, I appreciate you sharing that with us. And excuse me, you kind of touched on it a little bit about what some of the lessons were that you learned through this experience. And so if you care to elaborate a little bit more, and just being very specific, because I think that this is important. And I think, you know, people hearing this, especially going into, because divorce is real, and especially going into new relationships, what did you learn? Like, specific, if you could give concrete examples, what are you going to do differently in your next relationship? One or two concrete examples.
So, support, since you mentioned support. For example, my ex had an issue with her former boss. And when that boss got put into that place, my wisdom kicked in and told my wife or my ex, hey, keep your eyes on her. So long story short, the boss befriended my wife, tried to make her into like a, you know, inner circle of cult at a job. You know, it's like team versus team kind of thing. And she then started coming home telling me about problems about this. And what I should have done immediately was support her and just, hey, you know, whatever was going on, blah, blah. Instead of saying, I should have said, well, if you'd have listened to me, you would have not been in such and such a situation, da, 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 da. And so I wish I would have been able to approach that differently. Still saying somehow, hey, I may have some wisdom, but I want to support you no matter what. I'm on your side. So when you come home, I don't want you to feel like you come home, it's you versus her, and then now it's you versus me at home about the situation.
Wow.
So that's one thing, is trying to learn how to, next time, you know, different situations, learn how to hear, learn how to say it in such a way where you still sound supportive and not, I told you so.
That's a jewel.
Another thing, even though I mean, I don't plan to have more kids, but one of the things I found challenging was it seemed like there was times of a bad cop, good cop parents. You probably get this in most, maybe 50-50 households. But somehow parents have to really identify if that relationship is starting to happen, or if that foundation is starting to happen, or if those labels are happening. You got to put a nip in the bud now, because it's going to get out of hand. And then eventually what starts to play case is the child will start to look at the bad cop parent as a person they can't go and talk to about stuff, about anything. And then they can go talk to the mom or the good cop parent or the dad, whoever's a good cop, right? And they can tell them about everything. So there's a line automatically now, right? So just trying to help identify how you're parenting and make sure you're parenting as tribal, not, you know, individual parenting. You know, go ask your dad, see what he says. Go ask your mom, see what she says, versus, you know, we think you should kind of thing. You know, so those kind of things are kind of stood out. Those are kind of issues that I dealt with, was not supporting, and then the parenting ways. You know, how I feel I like things done in the house. I want the house cleaned a certain many times throughout the month. You know what I mean? Or I just want certain things done. Everybody likes certain things done in their household. I guess you can't change people's ways of living or how they do things or whatever. But I guess just trying to figure out how to compromise or how you want your home to be, right? And then once that's played out, follow that, so that, you know, there's no situation of a good cop, bad cop kind of thing. You know what you're supposed to do. You know what chores you need to be doing. You know when you come home, you got about a half an hour to chill out and snack on something, and it's time to do your homework. Right? I don't want to come home and I tell you the dishes. Here's a small example. So I was blessed to have the hours at my gym. I made the hours work so I can go back home, pick my kids up from the house, bring them to school, and then go back and teach another class. And I had a period of break again, and I pick up my kids from school, bring them home, and then go back to work. So it allowed me to do this kind of daddy thing.
Yeah.
So there were times where I tell the kids, all right, y'all, You start your homework at, like I said, I'll drop them off at 3, and they've got about an hour. So, all right, you can chill out. Just make sure you spend 5 minutes doing some dishes each. Or I'll say, do some dishes, but by the time I come back home at 8, so you guys got like 4 hours now to do 5 minutes of dishes each.
Right.
Make sure these dishes are done by the time I come home. So they're not done. I'm angry. My ex is not angry. She doesn't see the urgency of what I see or whatever. So there's issues. There's always butt heads. So it's just like I said, trying to find that compromising way of how you want your house to be done, so that you can eliminate the mom rules and regulations. So you can eliminate, the good cop and the bad cop dad, because like I said, that hurt as well.
Absolutely. That's a jewel. That is a jewel, being on the same page with parenting. That's a jewel. This is gonna help somebody.
That's all we want.
This is gonna help somebody.
Actually, I want to help at least 2 people.
Yes, this is gonna help 2 people. This is gonna help 5 people. At least. I know. I just know it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important to give those very concrete examples. No ambiguity. What does he mean by that? It's crystal clear. Very straightforward, to the point examples. Like, you can't be coming home and saying, I told you so, and and your partner, your spouse, man or woman, are feeling like, well, shit, I'm fighting at work and I got to come home and fight with my partner, the person I sleep with. Like, that gets old, and it does not work. Not work. And to your point, finding a way to be supportive and say, hey, I may have some insight into this situation because I'm from the outside looking in that you don't have. And I support you, and I'm here for you. I'm on your team. At the end of the day, it's me and you. So those are definitely some jewels for sure. Thank you for sharing that. And now I want to ask for a couple of concrete examples, things that you can share, and you've kind of touched, you have touched, if you could just kind of recap very specific ways to cope and deal with going through a divorce. If someone is going through a divorce just like you, they have children, they no longer have their families, like, what are 1-2 things specifically that you can share with them to help them?
Okay, so first I'd start off with spirituality. Whatever religion you choose to practice, or if you just find it within yourself, you don't quote, quote, need a label of religion. You just know how to go in within yourself and pray within yourself. Whatever you choose to do, I recommend you do it a lot. Do it daily. Have faith in the prayer. I can talk about all the negative things that's going on in my life, but I want to talk about the positive things in my life. So I'll just say, putting prayer to cover everything is what's been working for me. It's been working for my negatives. It's been working for my positives. So definitely, I would just say, just trying to find and getting in tune with God, or just within yourself, and loving yourself. That's a part of being spiritual, is self as well. So stay in love with yourself.
Ooh,
man, I had to write that one down.
You just hold on.
Stay in love with yourself. Just so, that's one thing. And then when it comes to the kids, I guess one of the things to do is to make sure that you're spending just good quality time with your children, trying your hardest. So in the beginning of the separation divorce phase, hey, what's your mother doing? Did she tell you where she was going? When she dropped off, right? All those things. When you get to the point where you can stop asking your kids about stuff, they're going to feel a lot better too. Because I tell you, it got to the point where my kids noticed that I stopped asking them about their mom so much. They said, "Hey, Dad, I just want to tell you something. You ain't been asking us about mom. I just want to thank you." And then it really resonated with me like, okay, you know what? I wish I'd never even said nothing in the beginning. So don't ask or don't talk to your kids about your spouse. Definitely don't put your spouse under the bus, because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're still going to be parents of that same child. Y'all still going to have some sort of relationship. So the bridge is already burned. Don't burn the boat too.
Ah, good one. Oh, you got all the jewels, Coach Omari. The bridge is already burned. Don't burn the boat too. Damn it. That's
yeah. But I guess those are things that kind of stand out. And I guess how to continue to cope with the divorce. Try to associate yourself with. So I've got some friends who are still married, and I tell them, "Hey, bro, make sure you you do this and do that, so you don't end up in the situation that I'm dealing with." So I think it's good to have some friends that are still married, so you can be that other person for them, and then also it can repaint the picture that you can be that way again too. And then it's good to just talk to other brothers who have or sisters who have been divorced, particularly brothers, because we can relate, and then sisters, but talk to other brothers who have been divorced. I know the first 2 weeks, I called about 7 cats that I know that are divorced. And it was like, blood, what do I do? And so that helped. So putting yourself around some certain folks to help you look at things with a different perspective helps. Finding some time to do self-building. So that goes back to what I mentioned about those 5 things earlier. I said spiritual already. So I'm going to tie in emotional health with talking to people. And I'm going to kind of tie in the mental health a little bit with that, but I'm also going to bring back mental health and physical health connected, because I am a firm believer. If it's been 3 days that I don't work out, I start getting depressed. I start to think about the things that's hurting. So I'll say that, just like they say, there's a runner's high. Even I don't do cardio like that. I'm more into strength training and core stuff like that. But if I'm working out pretty much daily, my depression and my stress level is down, no matter how much negativity is going down. It's something that I feel I wish doctors would spend more time emphasizing, more than the emphasis on the medication. This is medication.
Doctors are here to diagnose and prescribe medication. Doctors are not healers.
They're not healers.
They're not healers. To your point, doctors take an oath to diagnose and prescribe medication and to treat you chemically. They're not healers. So to your point, we know how to heal ourselves, but we get away from that because we get caught up in just mainstream and westernized culture, and quick fixes, microwave pills for everything. When we have the ability to heal ourselves. And that, I think that's a great example of knowing who you are and knowing what works for your body. Because I'm the same way. I have to exercise. I have to be physical. I have to have that physical activity in order to keep myself mentally healthy and fit. And that's different. It's different for everybody. And knowing that about yourself, I think, is super important.
I could have gotten an email from my divorce attorney and it could have been something bad. I can walk into the gym knowing that. Halfway through the workout, I didn't forgot about it.
Yep.
So I'm a big believer in that. So that's one of the ways I'd recommend people how to cope with any type of trauma. Is make daily activity, whether it's in the gym or at home. You can do the home thing by going on to grayhairathletics.com.
Spell that out for us. Is it G-R-A-Y?
Yes, G-R-A-Y hair, H-A-I-R athletics. Okay.
.com.
And it is an online workout that I do 3 days a week. And you guys will love it, guarantee you. And we'll talk about that more later. But definitely, that's That's how I recommend coping. So, getting into the spirit, coping it with your kids. And then eventually when it comes to the spouse, hopefully there be a phase where you two can come to the table and at least compromise on something. And if you can do that, that's tremendous, and that'll help you a lot because it'll take a big load. I know I used to drop my kids off to her, and when I dropped them off, I'd feel all down and sad, but now when I drop them off, it's better. I'm saying it's 100% better, but it's a lot better than what it was before.
Yeah.
And so, but it's something that we can get through. We can get through.
Yeah.
If we went through slavery, we can get. If we're descendants of that, we can get through anything.
Look at history to see where you've come from, to know what you're capable of and where you can go. Thank you so much. We are coming to the end of our interview. This has been so insightful, so enlightening, inspiring, all the ings. I mean, just you've dropped a ton of jewels on the listeners today. Just good stuff. I mean, good, solid stuff. Yes. And I want to thank you again for your transparency, because not a lot of brothers have the courage to be as transparent as you have been. And let me tell you, that takes courage. And because of that, you're a hero. You're a hero in a lot of people's eyes. You're a hero in my eyes, because I know that your story is going to touch someone, and your journey is going to touch someone. You're going to be you're a hero for a lot of people, for just being so courageous to be vulnerable and transparent. And so I thank you for that. And I'm grateful.
Thank you very much for the blessing. And I appreciate you and your establishment, and I'm very blessed, and thank you. I was looking forward to this, and I am looking forward to reach out to help anybody possible in any way, in any form. If they just heard the story and know that you're going to do better than me. So don't worry about that. But real fast, I do want to make a quick little promotion.
Tell us where we can follow you, where we can find you. And
So, well, first of all, what I have here is I'm also a co-owner of a brand called Recoup. You probably can't see too well there on
Bring
there.
it up a little bit closer.
There we go. So Recoup is a CBD company. We're a Black-owned, brown-owned company, and we've been established for a couple of years. You can go to Recoup, RECOUP, CBD.com. Again, that's recoupcbd.com. And then the book, again, you can go to TFSP book. I'll say it again, TFSP book.com. Yes.
Yeah.
And you can go on Amazon, but actually go to the webpage and you can see the book for purchase. You can hear the 2 audio tracks that we're releasing right now for the audio book, and then the 2 songs we're previewing that we're allowing for the public to hear as well for free. And then more important, just as importantly as well, I don't have a sign to show, but again, the grayhairathletics.com. It's an amazing at-home workout. It says what it is. I mean, I create a workout for beginner, intermediate, and advanced folks. So if you can just do a jumping jack and you can walk down the stairs, you can do my program. So don't worry about it. I want to be here to help you. As a matter of fact, if I'm correct, I think I'm going to go ahead and do a 1 day only healing for the culture price point. So what I'll do is I'll call my IT guy right now, and I'll tell him that we'll go ahead and create a payment tier. So anybody that goes on and purchase, they can buy it at a discount rate just for this 1 day, the day that we're doing this podcast.
Yep.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Omari. I appreciate you. And I'm super grateful to have you on, and I wish you the best. And we definitely have to do this again.
I'd be more than happy to do so. And again, to my brothers and sisters out there, don't give up. God is with you. I don't know you, but I'm praying for everybody I don't know too. I even pray for my enemies. But just whatever you do, people, don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. God is here for you. God is here for you. And you have family. Even if you think you don't have family, you have somebody care for you. Somebody cares for you. Trust that. Somebody does care for you.
Ashe, Ashe. Beautiful. Absolutely. Well, family, thank you all so much for tuning in. This was Coach Omari Williams, author, entrepreneur, and inspiration. Yes, and hashtag girl dad, y'all. He dropped some jewels on us. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope that this inspired someone. I hope that this helped someone along their healing journey. Remember, family, I am just here to peel back the layers for you, family. Peace and abundance to you. Go forth and shine on purpose, family. We'll see you next episode.